Hey people, how's it going? My name's Dawson, and yeah, as all of you probably know, I'm an expat here in Germany. I'm originally from India and been living in Germany for the last 6 years almost. Yeah, I work here as a IT partner manager at one of the largest telecommunications companies here in Germany. So yeah, that's that. And today in this video, I will be talking about investments. It's a beautiful day. It's a Sunday. I'm sitting here by the Rhine in Düsseldorf, enjoying the weather, getting some sunlight. Just shooting a video. So you know, I've been asked by a few friends of mine who are mainly Muslims, and their main concern is how do I, invest my money? Where should I invest my money? And mind you, before I start talking about it, let me do give you a disclaimer. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a fiduciary. I don't have any certifications, licensing. I'm just a person on the internet. So do take everything that I talk about with a grain of salt. If you like my videos, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you don't like my videos, well, be my guest. Anyway, so investments for Muslims and people of, value. Let me just put it that way. If you're not Muslim, you can enjoy the video as well. You can hear and probably come up with a financial product that might be helpful to Muslims. You can make some good money there. So practicing Muslims, they they have a problem investing in the regular financial products that are out there in the market. So what are whoa, the waves are getting higher. So the conventional investment products out there offered by banks these days, in the financial markets are basically, stocks, bonds, and then you have like derivatives and real estates, commodity investments, and yeah, these are basically the investment products that are available to retail investors. Retail investors are investors like you and me, small investors. So we are not institutional investors. So we have these options available, but as Muslims, we as practicing Muslims are forbidden by Allah, God, the creator of the universe, to deal with riba. Now, what is riba? Riba is basically debt or interest, as is offered by banks these days, the conventional banks. I'm not taking names to not get this video banned, but yeah, every other bank operates on interest. And Muslims, and I believe some people of other faiths as well, Christians and Jews, I'm not sure, they avoid usury, yeah, and debt for a myriad number of reasons. They think it's slavery. Julius Caesar talked about it, that you might have to pay with your flesh. So yeah, practicing Muslims, they are hesitant to invest products in conventional, that are offered by conventional banks because of interests. Because what happens in a conventional investment, for example, a conventional stock or a conventional mutual fund or debt, bonds, they basically take a pool of money from retail investors and institutional investors, and they create, or rather loan out the money to banks and institutions looking for capital as debt, and they charge an interest on that, and depending on the interest, they then offer dividends and returns, and that's how people make money in the financial markets these days. But for Muslims, the first thing we avoid is, conventional interest, and the second thing is, we are forbidden from investing in companies that deal with alcohol, pork, money laundering, uh, oh, adult entertainment, and every vices that are offered by the society. So we have to be very careful. And as you can imagine, a lot of investment products, for example, banks deal with interest. So we are forbidden from investing in mutual funds which have conventional banks in their portfolio. And then there are like two people going on they're racing and doing like a jet ski race. Crazy. I don't know if you can see it. We'll probably just go and, can you see that? Crazy, isn't it? So yeah, so we are left with very few options. Investing in companies, in stocks of companies which are ethical, which do not deal with, there's like a limit to how much interest that the company is about to deal with, and I think it's 5%, agreed by Islamic scholars. There's like a committee, a Sharia compliance committee in a lot of banks and financial institutions which care about Muslims, and so they evaluate and give this sort of credit rating to companies if this company is halal, i.e., permitted for investment for Muslims or not. So, where should we invest our money? Well, I can't give you advice, like I said, but I'll tell you what I invest in. So, I'm young, I'm 29, so I can take more risk than somebody who's, let's say, I don't know, older. So, what I do is I have a basic portion of my portfolio in stocks, yeah, particularly Apple stocks. That would be around 20% of the mix, and then the other is invested in MSCI World Islamic United States ETF. Now, what is that? That's a mouthful. So it's basically an Islamic ETF offered by Morgan Stanley, the company, and it has all the mutual funds that the S&P 500 has, excluding banks which charge interest, and these non-halal or unethical companies like adult entertainment, alcohol, pork, and those things. So it's basically a purer version or a halal version of the S&P 500. That's where I have most of my money invested because, as they say, it's hard to beat the market. So I'd rather be invested for the long term in mutual funds. And then I understand and care about Apple, the company, and so I have a portion of that invested there. What else do I have in my portfolio? Well, I cannot really invest in conventional bonds because that's unethical, and so I've been thing. And I live in Germany, so you do not really have the Islamic equivalent of bonds, i.e., sukuk, here in Germany. It's available in the UK and other places, but not really in Germany. So yeah. So what do I invest in? I invest in stocks, Islamic mutual funds, the MSCI USA ETF, and then recently I've started investing in real estate. So part of my portfolio is the some properties, buying properties which are not bought thing with by taking a mortgage, because again that is dealing with debt. So yeah, that's that. I have a few, or rather, I've invested property in the GCC countries, where you can buy properties without, taking mortgage. That's possible, and also um, by getting a, let's say, a halal mortgage equivalent from an Islamic bank. Lots of that in the Middle East. You have like, for each of the Emirates, you have an Islamic bank. So you have Emirates Islamic Bank, Dubai Islamic Bank Ras Al Khaimah, Islamic Bank Sharjah, Islamic Bank Ajman, Islamic Bank Fujairah, Islamic Bank, and all those things. So that's how Muslims can build wealth. They can, I mean, like I said, that's what I